Awesome.
Hello, hello.
Oh, hey.
Hey,
He finally joined my Zoom.
it was not my fault. It was my Zoom.
I was doing Dave Matthews. I don't know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah, I didn't recognize your Dave Matthews. So the only thing I know about Dave Matthews is that they dump poop on people in Chicago.
Never forget Dave Matthews Day. Actually, this summer, I think it's the 10th anniversary or 20th anniversary of the Dave Matthews poop anniversary. So we'll have to, and I'm gonna take the kids. We're gonna go down to the bridge. We're gonna throw some baby roots down into the river. That's gonna be our celebration of Dave Matthews Poop Day.
I like it. Can I choose to use a payday instead?
Yes, you can use a payday. Actually, it's not next year. It's the year after is the 20th anniversary of the Dave Matthews Kinsey Street poop incident.
Wow.
So if anybody would like to join me, I'm gonna be standing out there with a boombox playing Ants Marching because it's the most ridiculous song ever produced in the 1990s. And we're going to throw candy bars to the boats that are going underneath the bridge.
I'll also show up confused but with the spirit, and I'll play Jeremy's spoken.
Yeah. Not even the same genre of music.
Yep, that's exactly it. Said I got the it's I'm confused, but I have the spirit.
Yes, I guess, but we're all gonna go out there and it's gonna be here. Wake up in the morning. He poops on the bridge every day now.
Did they do Mr. Jones and Me?
No, that's Counting Crows.
Okay.
God damn it, Steve.
Bro, I don't know fucking music. I don't even know music that I like. Like I know like one band, maybe maybe like two or three bands. I'd be like, okay, this is this song by this band, but like, man, I'm not good at music.
But if I asked you, I said like, who did the soundtrack for One Punch Man season 2? You'd probably
no idea.
Yeah, it's some random anime.
I only know it I only know some of the bands if they're a band. I'm mostly like if you hit me with some
hit you with the best shot. Yeah,
if maybe you hit me with some in the early the mid to late aughts, I could be a little bit better. But
we all know you're secretly a K-pop fan.
You know, I never really did get into K-pop, but I do really like the song GGG. I really like that song.
Yeah.
GGGG, baby, baby, baby G. I really like that song, but never really got into K-pop.
You know, K-pop to me is essentially what future music sounds like. Like when you watch anything where it takes place in the future, and there's like the CD underground kind of thing, or like maybe not CD underground, but just this is what the popular music of the time is in like 2099. That it would be K-pop music. That's essentially it. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. It's like the past when everyone thought that Japan was going to take over the world culturally for that like weird brief 10-year period between like 1978 and 1988, 89. When everyone was like obsessed with Japan taking over the world before like we kind of realized Japan economic collapse kind of like sidelined them for a while. It was that's what I feel future music is in movies. They're like, just put K-pop in there and have some holograms doing it because that's what would happen in the future. It'll be all holograms.
Yes, let's go. There already is a bunch of holograms performing, so I mean, I guess we're kind of like partially.
That's what I'm saying.
Unfortunately, it's dystopian.
Yeah. Well, you know, I tend to feel we're not dystopian and we're not utopian. We're kind of like just topian.
We're pootopian.
No, we're just topian. It's just we're in the middle. Like we have the option of going to a utopian society, you know, fully luxuriated space communism that is the Star Trek future we deserve. But there's also that dystopian Handmaid's Tale that many of the conservative elements of our society want.
So you think we're at a crossroads?
I don't think we're at a crossroads. I think we're just at a topian point where we're just like, we could make this decision, but meh. We're more like metopian.
So we're in the swimming pool and we need to decide where we're getting out.
No, we're not. We're not making a decision. That's the whole thing.
I see.
It's like we're tidally locked in the center where it's just like we're metopian.
Lazy river.
Yeah, it's like a lazy fucking river. Great. That's a great example. We're no longer dystopian. We are not utopian. We are meh-topian. We are on a lazy river just circling. Not to the drain, not to the pleasant beach. We're just circling. That's it.
All right, I can see that.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel we are, especially after the elections last week. It's just like we're just meh. We're meh-topian.
Yeah. All right,
but yeah, exactly.
I mean, they did elect that dude who looks like an Elden Ring character with all of his sliders set to max, and that guy's based as hell looking.
Fetterman.
Yeah,
yeah. I like John Fetterman. He's a great guy. If you ever listen to him talk, but he does look like an Ogren.
That's it. He looks like an Elden Ring character with every slider set to max.
and I appreciate that. Like you see that politician in I think he's in the Ukraine who's just like this massive human being. He looks like kind of like almost like a Cro-Magnon.
Nice.
It's like you could really see like holy shit, you could really see the Neanderthal DNA coming out right there. The dude is huge. I think he's Ukrainian. He might be Russian. I'm not. I'm gonna get canceled now.
Joe, not you, but another Joe. He's got Neanderthal DNA. When he did his 23andMe, they were like, yeah, you have a lot of Neanderthal DNA, and he's like, cool.
Yeah, we all have Neanderthal DNA. Essentially, if you're white, you have Neanderthal DNA. It's normal.
I mean, I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's just if you have European ancestry, you have Neanderthal in you. I can't say to anything else. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know that if you are from Europe, you got you have some of the DNA, and you got some of the Neanderthal DNA, and you got a little bit of that, yeah, just a bit.
I think it's that he's got more than that would be expected. I think that was the thing.
Yeah, I mean there are definitely people who have more than others. Not me with my tiny nose that can't handle the seasons. Fuck. I have like all of the Neanderthal, like the bad genes where it's just like just carry a lot of weight in the stomach, slow up forehead, but I don't get any of the good stuff like able to survive allergy season.
Or the broader shoulders and the hips, so you don't take as much falling damage.
Yeah, exactly. As I fell off a roof and broke my back to prove. Okay, so let's talk about some gaming stuff. I know it's only been a week since we last met, but you have to have things to do on Saturday, so we have to record early.
It's very humorous that my things that I don't normally do just happen to line up to counter our schedule.
Yeah, exactly. But actually some stuff did happen in the last week that are relatively interesting for gaming to talk about. So we don't have to talk about a ton, but we can definitely talk about these. I think the biggest one is that the new Star Wars game is being released. Do it, Steve. Do it.
Star Wars Shatterpoint. You can play with stupid Star Wars toys. Star Wars is really fucking dumb, and you shouldn't like it unless you're a child.
Darth Maul! Darth Maul! Darth Maul! I only play Star Wars games. So they Asmodee and Atomic Mass Games, who now are in control of the Star Wars license,
which I guess are the heir apparent to Fantasy Flight, because they basically gutted and destroyed Fantasy Flight at this point.
Asmodee just took Fantasy Flight, and they're like, they're no good at releasing Star Wars stuff. Let's send it to AMG. Actually, I think it's that what they really wanted to do from Asmodee is they wanted to separate the board game section of their, like, they wanted to separate the board games from the mini games. Like, they gave all the mini game stuff to Atomic Mass, and all the board game stuff goes to Fantasy Flight, if that makes sense. So, Atomic Mass Games, AMG, who are behind Marvel Crisis Protocol, the dumbest named game on the planet.
It's pretty bad.
What's that?
It's pretty fucking bad.
I mean, like, what does Crisis Protocol mean?
You know what Crisis Protocol sounds like? It sounds like a fucking like mid-90s PC game that might have been pretty okay.
Yeah. Well, to me, it sounds like a random name generator. Like
it totally is. It totally is.
Roll 2 D100s, and then you're going to come up with Crisis and Protocol. Okay.
I actually have a theory about that though. And this is like a not a joke theory whatsoever. I
Hold
actually
on. We are an all joke podcast, Steve.
I know. Unfortunately, this is not a joke theory. I know we normally are not serious, but this is something I actually like 100% think about. I thought about this because of all the stupid names of various things. It's SEO,
What do you mean?
search engine optimization.
Oh,
So when you have a name that's like really dumb and doesn't make any sense, like Crisis Protocol, Crisis Protocol would still be a stupid name, but would at least make a little bit more sense if it was a DC game, because DC historically
Crisis.
has a shit ton of different story arcs called Crisis.
Yes.
So that's the first thing. But the second thing is Crisis Protocol, like you said, it sounds like a random name generator. But if you Google the words Crisis Protocol, all of your results are for the Marvel game. It's complete saturation, 100%. Everything is the Marvel game.
Yeah, I could see that.
And that's why I think that there's these weird and stupid names like that, because the more dissimilar your name is, if your product ends up being reasonably successful, the more accessible and easy it is to search on various search engine platforms. And I really think that's why you have names like Crisis Protocol.
I think you got it. I think you figured it out.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because I was thinking about some of the stupid names of some other games I saw, and I was just like, it's got to be that. It has to be. It's got to be the algorithm.
Oh, damn. I wanted to get like applause, like an applause soundboard, so that way we could play that when you come up with a thing that works really well. However, I did find this soundboard. Let me try this out. There we go. Did you hear that one?
It sounded like something. I didn't understand what it was though.
Oh, it's a rim shot.
Ah, nice. I like it. Oh man, we finally made our full transition into becoming those radio guys who are like wild weekends. Finally done it.
I know. There you go. So I don't know if you heard any of those guys, and I apologize if you didn't.
I mean, I heard a bunch of the various things, and I was talking about how we finally made our transition into being the weekend show hosts.
There's one on this thing called Spanish Guy Laughing. I'm going to check that one before we move on.
Oh, I know what that one is. That's the dude with no teeth who's laughing on that whatever that weird program is. He's only got like the two big front teeth. He kind of has like a a hippo bite pattern.
Yeah. What about Where's the Lamb Sauce?
Where's the lamb sauce? You could have the lamb sauce.
I don't know. Okay, so we're gonna get past that because I don't want to do the DJ thing because people find that very annoying.
Where is the lamb sauce?
I think that's from Gordon Ramsay.
It is. Yeah, it's 100%.
Yeah. By the way, have you been watching the Great British Bake Off?
I haven't. Is it good?
No, it's actually like a travesty to all American cooking.
Oh, no.
Well, to all world cooking from the British. They did like they did a Mexico Day.
Oh, you know what? I haven't been watching it, but I absolutely saw Mexican Twitter just obliterating that. I did see that.
They did a Halloween Day too, but my thing is that just stick to baking, patisseries and pies and cakes, and we'll be perfect.
And
the perfect show.
And the beef Wellington.
No, and beef Wellington is not baking. Yes, you bake the Wellington.
Oh, you mean specifically on the show? I get what you're saying. I thought you were talking about British food, but yeah, no. I mean, I think British pastries are fucking great. Yeah, and I agree with that.
I want to address the beef Wellington first. It's a very delicious dish, but it's essentially really good steak wrapped in bread. It's like you really can't fuck that up. You can fuck it up. The British
you can cook it wrong. I've seen people cook it wrong, and it's bad when you cook it wrong.
Yeah, and also the British tend to use pine nuts with their the mushroom.
I like pine nuts. I'm a pine nuts fan.
Yeah, but you know what? It's like pine nuts are not really that great. they're not really that good in dishes. But anyway, as I'm saying, it's like if you got one good dish that you make, that doesn't mean you're a culinary culture. Let's just put it that way.
I'd say they've definitely got a lot of baked goods that are really good.
But they stole them from everyone else.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, they're white people. White,
Yeah.
white people. All white cuisine is stolen from other cultures.
It's true. So anyway, back to Shatterpoint. Let's talk
Yes.
Shatterpoint.
Shitterpoint.
Shatterpoint. So this is the third Star Wars game involving miniatures that are actual human miniatures, or character miniatures. Not, but what I mean by that is it's not X-wing, not Armada.
Yeah, it's humanoids.
So they first did what was the fucking dungeon crawl game? Legion, not Legion.
Oh, I
Rebel
don't
Assault.
remember. Yeah,
Rebel
yeah,
Assault.
Rebel Assault. Rebel Assault.
Yes, they did Rebel Assault, and they had the figures. It was a pretty neat game. Then they released Legion, which actually I would say is actually a fairly popular game. The biggest problem with Legion is that, like all of the Fantasy Flight games, the release schedule was poo and a half, if not two poo.
Right, and also it has it's double suffering from the fact that it's a licensed game, and that's rough.
Yeah. So they had Legion. They've had kind of two editions of Legion. They had the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, or the prequels, and they were a different size than Rebel Assault. They were, I think, bigger than the Rebel Assault minis. Now, once again, they are releasing Shatterpoint, which looks like it's just a Star Wars recover of Crisis Protocol. Not 100% on that one.
Mm.
And they've increased the size of the miniatures yet again.
Yeah, so they should be 40 millimeter now.
Yes. So all those people who painted their Rebel Assault figures, and then all those people who painted their Legion figures, now we'll have to paint another size to play Shatterpoint, which is always the richest thing of all, is when people fuck over their customers so much, but the customers are so dedicated to one IP that doesn't matter. They are going to buy the figures and paint them again.
I think there's a lot of people, yeah. Although this might be the one that is enough, because apparently the fan reaction to this one was overwhelmingly negative.
You think so?
Just on social media wise, which has not happened to a Star Wars game yet. So maybe, I'm sure there'll be, a bunch of people who just buy it and don't say anything about it. But this is the first one that seems to have like a real good chunk of social media backlash, because I think this is the first one that's actually like 1-to-1 replacing a game. Because like Legion was what this game, or rather, if you were a Legion player, like you now know that your game's dead, and like if you want to play a game that's like Legion, your option is this game. When it was X-wing and they released Armada, it's like that game is clearly not replacing the game you're playing. It's just another Star Wars game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's actually a really good point. Because Legion is a fairly popular game, it's a fairly easy game to play. But as always, my problem with Legion is, and I've told you this before, it's like you could only pull so much out of the well of Star Wars for a combat game, like a true combat game like that, because the whole Star Wars series does not lend itself to epic battles, with the exception of the prequels. The prequels do lend themselves very well to mass battles, but not everybody likes the prequels.
I also think that the mass battles for any Star Wars anything are always in the background. They're never they're never like the big important part. The big important part is always like, what are your core group of characters doing?
And that's what I think we were talking about with Shatterpoint, is that this finally seems like the type of game that Star Wars should be, where you have your one character and then you have a couple goons with them as like a war band.
Yeah,
like
that makes sense.
That to me sounds more like Star Wars than Legion ever did.
Yeah, no, I agree, because then the sides being like, it's like it's Obi-Wan and Anakin versus, I don't know, like Jango Fett and like a bunch of clones.
Yeah, well, yeah, something similar. It would be
just say like just to throw like an example. Like, so there's one bad guy and his goons versus two heroic characters. Like that's a sensical like Star Wars battle to me, because like you'd still have a huge battle going on, like in theory in the background, but we don't care about that. That's just the lasers that you see in the background while you're watching, Anakin do cool flips.
Well, I mean, so what it looks like to me was like when I was watching the preview, it seems more like you're going to have your one character. You'll have Anakin, right? And then Anakin, you'll be able to take 3 or 4. You'll take 4 or 5 clones, and then that's your warband. So that's all it is. Like, you don't get multiple. I don't think you get multiple heroes. you more like get one hero and goons. You might be able to take like
probably a multiple hero thing for the good guy side, I would imagine.
Well, it's more like probably you get you'll get a Jedi and like a lesser character. So like you have like one main character, let's say a tier 1 character, and then you'll have tier 2 characters, which could either be like a Jedi Padawan or a weaker named character like so you get like Qui-Gon Jinn, and then you get like Padawan Obi-Wan, right?
Mm.
So he's not as impressive as your main character. He's like a B tier character. So you know what's a good example? Like Obi-Wan and Captain Rex. Like
yeah, there you go.
Rex would
a lord and a hero.
Yeah, a lord and a hero essentially, and then goons. You get like probably 2 or 3 goons, which to me sounds very Star Warsy. I like that idea. The things I don't like that it is a 40 mil game. I think 40 mil is far too big. But you know, if it's only like 4 or 5 characters, that's not a big deal. You know.
Also of note, which is kind of weird, and I'm sure they probably just did this by mistake. But you know, there's a Mace Windu book named Shatterpoint.
I'm sure Shatterpoint's probably been done before. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an old book from, because I remember reading it like in 2000. Very early 2000s,
yeah.
like high school time, I think.
So they had a choice between like Star Wars Shatterpoint and Star Wars Splinter of the Mind's Eye, and they went with Shatterpoint instead.
Yeah, I mean, they really I'll be honest with you. If it's using the Crisis Protocol engine, they really should have just called it Star Wars Crisis Protocol.
I mean, I kind of agree too, but I think that maybe they want to separate it from the Marvel.
Why? They're both owned by Disney. Who cares?
It's true, but I mean, but as you say, like if people are searching. Crisis Protocol. No, they want them to go to the Marvel one.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I'm interested to see what it is. My biggest problem with IP games like this, and I've said it a bajillion times on this podcast, I don't want to paint things screen accurate. I don't want someone to look at. I don't want IP grognards to come up and say like, well. Yeah, Mace Windu would never wear pants like that. Well, You're obviously using the wrong shade of tan.
I think for me, it's even less that, but it's more just like characters don't look right when you paint them how you want to paint them. Because like, you know, like it would like Mace Windu has a purple lightsaber. Like if he has if you paint Mace Windu with an orange lightsaber, it's just kind of like, that's not Mace Windu. Like just doesn't look correct. Like in my head, like I wouldn't begrudge anyone for doing it. You paint however you want. You want to give them fucking polka dot robes, that's cool. But like for me, it's just like the character is like, this is what the character looks like. So it's just like, I agree with that, which is why I've never been interested in licensed games either, because I want to paint my own schemes or my own takes on existing schemes. Like I did my own version of the the Celestial Vindicators for Age of Sigmar. Like they look like Celestial Vindicators. Every person who's seen them is like, oh, those are cool Celestial Vindicators, but I don't have, it's my own spin on their paint scheme.
Yeah, I mean, a classic example is Blood Angels. What color do you have to paint Blood Angels? Red. That's it.
Red.
Like, you could do anything else you fucking want to it. People are still going to go, those are Blood Angels.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, they also have to have the little blood drop with the wings, but that's a different story altogether.
True.
You got to have just like that one thing that says like, these guys are Blood Angels.
They're Blood Angels.
They're painted pink. Yeah, but they got the Blood Angel symbol on them. All right, you win this round.
You got me this time. Also, gold. I think some of them are gold, right?
What, the blend? Yeah, some of the HQ units are gold.
Yeah, some of the HQ units are gold, and then they have their death unit that's black.
Yes. Yeah, exactly it. Like there's certain signifiers for it, but Crisis Protocol overall, not Crisis Protocol. Well, Crisis Protocol is bad with it, because if you don't paint your X-Men's to look like X-Men's, it's really funky. You have to be very talented to pull off an alternative paint scheme on Crisis Protocol or Shatterpoint.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
and even then, it would probably be better if you tried to just pull off a different paint scheme that was something that already existed. So, like, if you did, I don't know, the movie version of a character. So you put the X-Men in their black jumpsuits or whatever the hell.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you would, but I mean, you could probably pull off something or other, as long as you. I think in order to do it, you have to have an eye for comic book stuff. Like you have to like know like, okay, if I paint it this way, it might not be like in a comic book, but it's comic booky enough to pull off, if that makes sense.
I could see that. Yeah.
But yeah, that's always been my big problem with those games. And Shatterpoint, what I'll probably end up doing is I'll probably end up printing off 3 or 4 characters, painting them up, and then selling them on eBay for lots of money because people really like that. So Darth Maul, Darth Maul, Darth Maul, Darth Maul.
Although it does look like they're doing a lot of the stuff from the animated stuff for Shatterpoint.
It's definitely all prequel stuff right now.
So you could, I guess you could, if you really wanted to do something really unique for your paint scheme, but still fall in line with like things looking correct, you could do like the cell shaded style. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, actually, that would probably look pretty well. But cell shaded is very difficult to do.
Oh yeah. It's the only people I've seen do it are like the highest end Gundam painters.
Yeah, Gundam painters can do it
really good. Yeah,
you know, I've seen some people do it for their 28s, and it looks fine. It's just I don't know if I want to put that effort into it. One person said my painting looks like cell shaded, and I got really offended by it. It's like, if I can find that somewhere, I was just like, I don't know how I feel about this. The guy was like, "Oh, your figures are super beautiful. It looks like cell shaded." I'm like, that wasn't the effect I was going for, but
I'm looking. I'd really like to see the picture because I mean, I've seen your models. And I've seen your models on Instagram, and I would not say that they look.
Yeah, they definitely don't look cell
shaded. So I'm interested to know what models he thinks are cell shaded.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have to. It was so many years ago that I don't even remember. I don't know if I could find it at this point. But anyway, so yeah, that's Crisis Protocol, and Star Wars Crisis Protocol. I'm sure it's coming out next summer, so we'll probably see it debuted at Adepticon. Which will be fine. We'll see it there, and we'll be like, "Oh, this is Crisis Protocol." I've never actually played Crisis Protocol. Have you played it?
No, I have not.
I've
not. The only games I've been playing lately, tabletop wise, have been the 2D20 RPGs, and then I'm looking to be playing some fucking Age of Sigmar vampire game. At some point.
Curse City, you mean?
Curse City. Yeah, Curse City. I couldn't fucking remember that. I knew you would know what I was talking about. I couldn't remember the name. But yeah, no, so I've only been playing RPGs lately. I will be playing Curse City and then Age of Sigmar though. Like I think I'm good with that for my tabletop games. Like I might pick up like one other game if there's something that's really interesting. Like maybe I'll grab like a War of the Ring or something, but I think I'm pretty good with what I have now.
I mean, yeah, I'm as I say, I'm gradually working through my Blood Angels right now. I'm basically fucking around. I like the Blood Angels are the only thing that I'm really working on project wise because I just enjoy working on Horus Heresy stuff. But I'm
pre-Heresy.
I'm also doing printing wise, I'm going back and I'm trying to create models for the box games that I bought. So that's fun. Yeah. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to end us, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about Elden Ring.
All right. And then we got to bring up Golden Bell because there's a new recent Golden Bell thing.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in just a second.
I hear the recording is in progress.
So I forgot to mention at the top of the show, I wanted to ask which of the fake Twitter verified accounts is you?
I'll never tell.
Is it the Tesla one? Because that one was hilarious.
That was really good. My favorite one was the insulin manufacturer where they got that company to lose like $20 billion, which is great.
Yeah, that was I think it was a 8 billion, no 8 million, no 80 million. I think it was something ridiculous.
Yeah, Eli Lilly, that was my favorite one.
Yeah, I know the Tesla one was just funnier because it was, they were just roasting. The
only Tesla one I saw was a second Tesla has crashed into the other tower.
I mean, a second Tesla has hit the World Trade Center. That was the classic one. My one that I chuckled at was it was clever. It was Honestly, the 53% drop in stock price doesn't phase us. If there's anyone who knows about crashing, it's us.
Yep. There you go.
So I don't know if that was you, Steve. I salute you, but
No, that one's not me.
I mean, it's almost as if Twitter, a company that's been around for close to 20 years, kind of knew how to handle a lot of this shit.
Oh yeah, I mean this is like so. I talk about this a lot. Like this whole boondoggle is literally what it is. This boondoggle. Like Elon Musk tried to measure his dick and be like, "Oh, I'd buy Twitter for insert stupid amount of money, $44 billion," which is like an outrageous price.
Outrageous.
I mean, it is. Like I think Twitter was valuated at like 10 billion. Like
yeah.
So like 4 times the fucking price. Over 4 times the fucking price he offers. But they're like, yeah, they called his bluff. So then he tried to run away. And then they just sued him, and they were like, "No, you're paying us all that money, bro." So, sure enough, he takes out all these loans to get the 44 billion for this ridiculous boondoggle acquisition, and now he's an idiot. He doesn't know how to do anything. So, of course, he's going to immediately run it into the ground because he's a moron. Like all he is some dude with a lot of money and a very fragile ego. That's all he is. So. Everything is just like a disaster, and he's desperately trying to figure out how to make it profitable. The website's going to crash. There's going to be bankruptcy. Well, there'll probably be liability lawsuits for all the fake accounts. So yeah, it's going to be a shit show. I don't think Twitter will be around, at least not in this state. Who knows how fast, but pretty fast.
I don't know if there'll be liability lawsuits. I don't know if they could prove. I think freedom of speech would probably trump that.
I'm not sure how our legal system interacts with verified.
Well, I think the main thing is that the companies that will be suing are probably very, very rich. So, of course, that's how the legal aspect will work.
Right,
It'll go
exactly.
towards the person who has the most amount of money.
Yeah, so enough companies, like Elon might have the most money as one guy, but enough companies together can just, they can body him under a river of dollars.
Oh, you're saying they're going to sue Elon. I thought they were going to sue the Twitter handle.
Oh, no, they're going to sue Elon.
Oh, that's good, too.
Yeah, these companies are going to sue Elon because, they could be like, you knowingly manipulate, for example, like Eli Lilly could be like, you knowingly set this up because you're a super genius. You knowingly set this up knowing that it could do huge damage to stock brands because your plan was to crater stock value and purchase it. You were attempting the biggest market manipulation scheme of all time. Blah 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 blah. There's gonna be legal action. Like no question. There's gonna be some form of legal action. Maybe class. I have no idea. There will be legal action because of this. And I mean, Twitter's fucking hilarious right now. Fucking, you got an account that looks like verified Nintendo of America tweeting out Mario flipping the bird. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about Elden Ring. Elden Ring, the Kickstarter. There's not much out so far on this one.
It's coming in 10 days.
Yes, in 10 days, we're going to get the Kickstarter news on Dark Souls. So, Dark Souls, the Kickstarter.
Elden Ring, you mean?
No, I'm just going to say Dark Souls, the Kickstarter, because, Elden Ring is part of... Isn't Elden Ring, semi-related to Dark Souls?
No, Elden Ring is its own IP.
I know it's his own IP, but isn't it done by the same studio?
Oh yes, From Software made Elden Ring. So if for the quick and dirty is Dark Souls is funded and basically owned by Bandai, even though FromSoft made the game. Okay. So Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 are essentially owned by Bandai, and then Elden Ring is produced by both FromSoft and Bandai, I think. So Bandai still has the license for it, but From can make another Elden Ring game without Bandai if they want. I believe they cannot make another Dark Souls game without Bandai. Okay. And then Bloodborne, same thing, except replace Bandai with Sony.
Oh, okay. So they're all the same style of game, just all three are owned by different companies.
Yes, and the they're all published by different companies. The game dev is the same From Software.
Okay, see, I'm just getting confused now.
Yeah. Basically, yes. We could just say they're all related. That's all you need to know.
So, to confuse it further, Steamforge, who the original, they did a Dark Souls Kickstarter back in, I think it was a couple years ago. It wasn't that long ago.
I think it was 6 years ago at this point.
I guess it was probably 2017. It was pre-COVID, of course.
That board game fucking sucks too, by the way. If anyone's ever played it, it's shit. It's so bad.
Shit.
The minis are great though.
Where's my soundboard? I want to see if there's an it's shit.
It's shit.
We should just make our own soundboard.
We should.
Yes. So they did a Dark Souls Kickstarter back in 2017. Yeah, I just pulled up 2017, and it was £80 for the entire box set, and it gets shipped anywhere to the world. That's what it's just. I'm just reading that off there. And so £80 now is only like $90. So that's actually pretty decent because you got a lot of fucking shit with that board game. But as Steve says, the board game sucked. So
yeah, the minis are great though.
Yes, the minis are great. It was an attempt by Steamforge to kind of do what why can't I think of the name of the game?
Cool Mini?
No, the creepy one that took forever to come out but was amazing.
Oh, Monster.
No, not Monster.
Kingdom Death. Kingdom Death Monster.
Kingdom Death, yes.
Yeah, the full name is Kingdom Death parentheses or not parentheses colon Monster.
Parentheses colon Monster.
Yes, parentheses colon Monster.
The colon Monster is coming at you. No, it was kind of an attempt to do that because I think, Dark Souls was and Kingdom Death kind of followed that same style a little bit.
The dark Euro fantasy.
Yeah, dark Euro fantasy. There you go. Dark urine fantasy. Dark urine.
You know that a bunch of those bosses smell like pee.
Well, I think most people who are really into Dark Souls kind of smell like pee. That was a good laugh right there. So they released the Dark Souls board game. It was actually a really big hit. I think it made like 5 million total when it came out.
Yeah, it's still successfully selling. I mean, maybe the expansions made so two notes. One, maybe the expansions made the game better. I didn't play with the expansions really, but like the base game plus like a few of the extra figures was dog shit. But I didn't play with all like the various like location expansions. But the minis are great. So I mean, I think it's probably selling because of the minis. That's just my opinion though.
Which I find really weird because Steamforge is known for games with good rules. I've heard nothing but positive things about Steamforge's rule sets.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like the way the game worked, just like it just didn't work. It was too random. Like it was really weird. So the quickest and dirtiest version I can explain is like, so the way it works is you in Dark Souls, the thing is you show up, you fight, you die, you respawn, like you come back. That's the whole gimmick is like you can try as many times as you want and you can level up in between. When you kill enemies, they drop souls, which are like currency. When you die, you drop your souls. If you go back to where you died, you can collect your souls and level up. The problem with they did an admirable job trying to capture that for the board game, but the problem is that they made the upgrades completely fucking random. It's a deck, so you just shuffle the deck and you have to spend your souls, which is a very limited currency because there's only so many enemies and you can only resurrect so many times to get an upgrade. But the upgrade's totally fucking random. So I found when I was playing it, I played it like 3 or 4 times in a row, and the first time we played it, our upgrades were just so bad. We got like awful cards and we just got destroyed. And then the next time our upgrades were mediocre, so we got kind of far. And then the third time our upgrades were super good, so we won. So it really didn't feel like we were playing the game as much as just crossing our fingers and hoping that the upgrades we were flipping randomly off the top of the deck were good.
Yeah. So it doesn't, like we were talking about last cast, we talk about how
game feel
for IP is super important. It has to feel like whatever your IP is based off of. So a good example is Shatterpoint. Shatterpoint will probably feel more like a Star Wars than Legion did.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, at least the original trilogy Legion. I never really played with the prequel stuff. I'm sure that felt a little bit more like it. Oh,
but another thing I wanted Count Dooku fight Darth Vader.
One thing I did want to mention about Shatterpoint that we didn't talk about is that I did see that they had multiple characters on like 40 mil bases or 50 mil bases. So like they had like 3 robots, the Droids Federation, the Roger guys.
Yes.
They had 3 of those on one base in one of the pictures. So I think that's interesting as well. So you could have
swarms.
Yeah, like a swarm of figures. Anyway, back to Dark Souls. The Dark Souls, there was a shit ton of stuff you got in that Kickstarter, and for a relatively cheap price, like let's say $120 US.
Mhm.
And all of that stuff now, if you want to buy it, is ridiculously expensive. Ridiculously expensive. I think there's some dragon I was looking at on eBay, or if you wanted to get the entire Kickstarter for Dark Souls, it was something close. You'd have to pay like close to $400 at this point.
Oh yeah,
So-
I'm sure. It's probably
Yeah.
even more than that now.
I mean, I think there's been a couple on there I've seen where it's like a person's like, you know what, I want nothing to do with this. Take it for 180.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, if you find someone dumping, that's a thing for sure.
Did you see all the cool mini stuff that I saw? That I showed you that picture, right, of all the stuff at the store of the guy who dumped all of his cool mini stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Just like it was like everything cool mini. It was insane.
Holy fuck! I mean, the only thing that I could tangent. I'm sorry, listeners. Tangent. I went to a local half price books, and there was a guy who literally dumped. It had to be 10 years worth of cool mini Kickstarters. It was every cool mini Kickstarter, every stretch goal, every zombicide, everything, all completely dumped. And I was like, this is insane. The only thing I can imagine was someone died. That's essentially it. Someone died, or someone got it in a divorce,
Yeah.
which is probably more likely. But it was ridiculously priced, so of course I didn't want anything to do with it, and I didn't want any of those games
Sure.
anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want the cool mini games. Like they're
Yeah.
the cool mini games are usually pretty shit.
They did have rum and bones if you wanted a lot of rum and bones.
Yeah, cool mini games are weird. They're the most inconsistent because there's definitely some cool mini games that are like, oh, this game's really good, and then there's cool mini games that are like, oh god, this game is awful.
Well, I think Cool Mini doesn't really have an in-house studio, do they? Or they probably do, but most of their games are not done in-house. They're done by outside studios, and then Cool Mini takes them in and like designs all of the packaging and everything like that.
They did for a while when they hired that one guy. I can't remember what his name is. Shit, I can't remember. But well, Sheriff of Nottingham's that's a great game, and
Yeah.
that's a cool mini or not game. Although I don't know if the original was cool mini or not.
I don't think
They
the
might have just had the
original.
license. I think the
Yeah.
original might have been Plaid Hat or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense that it would be a Plaid Hat game. But I'm saying most of the games that have like a fuck ton of minis and
yeah.
those are all I think designed outside of the Cool Mini, and then they're brought in, and then Cool Mini basically puts that Cool Mini what's the word I'm looking for? Cool Mini
Spin?
shine, Cool Mini
Yeah.
spin on it, so that they all kind of have a very similar look. And there's some, and as you're saying, there are some really good ones, and then there are some, very bad ones.
Yeah, some real bad ones.
And even the bad ones aren't terrible; they're just not as good as you want them to be.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I've been talking about this where I think that what you just said, I think has kind of spread to just kind of literally everything. Like, I think everything right now we're in like a glut of, so it's not a complaint. It's just like a weird thing to think about, but like we are in a glut of like 6 to 7 out of 10 content. We're just like, everything is like, I mean, it's okay. Like, it's 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10, like constantly. Like everything is like a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. So like but because there's also so much shit being made, there are still those like 10 out of 10s. So because those 10 out of 10s still come by, it makes the 6 and 7s feel not as good. Like, so like, for example, like if Dark Souls, if that board game as it is came out in like 93, say, that would have been like the greatest board game of all time. Like everyone would have been like, well, holy shit, have you played this game? This is incredible. Like amazing. That's just like 1-to-1. Because that's what it's just like over time stuff has gotten better. It's just like TV shows and everything. Where I was talking before, like I don't watch a lot of anything really much anymore because like most stuff is just like I wouldn't even call it mediocre. It's like it's good, but it's just like it's nothing that's going to be like, oh my god, it's blowing my mind. That's why I really like when those movies like what the hell was it? Malignant. When movies like Malignant come out. And it's just like, holy shit, that movie, that like Malignant blew me away. Like the movie blew me away. It was like we said before, like that movie should not have been good, but it was great.
I've actually rewatched Malignant twice in this last year, and I can tell you, I kind of figured out why it's better than it should be. And this is getting into deep movie theory.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it has to do with what it steals from European cinema. And this sounds like I got my head way up my ass, and I apologize to everybody. Malignant is essentially a giallo film, an Italian giallo film in the style of, Bird with the Crystal Plumage, or, Five Flies on Grey Velvet, something, Four Flies on Grey Velvet, whatever.
Mhm.
But those Argento films, all those Italian horror movies, the first 2/3 of that movie are essentially a giallo movie, and I hate myself for saying this, because giallo is far worse than Malignant, but it's also far better at doing giallo than Malignant. So it kind of hurts my soul to say. It's a paradox in and of itself. There are so many bad things, like the fact that the house is a Victorian house, but you go inside of it and all the rooms are massive, right?
Mhm.
Like the fact that characters look the same, but they're not the same, so it gets really confusing. There's got so many things that don't make any sense, like why are the sisters investigating this mystery, and like they shouldn't be, but the cops should be doing it, but the cops are incompetent, and that's like a whole thing, like this amateur detective versus the cops going on. But in the end, it could have been a horrendous movie, but for some odd reason, the director of, The Conjuring and Conjuring 2 in the third act makes it the most batshit insane ending of all time.
Yeah, it's completely like, what?
It's giallo too, because a lot of times the thing with giallo is that the killer is this guy who has a kind of schizophrenia, set upon by a traumatic event in his past, which is kind of what this movie is. It's a kind of schizophrenia, but it's not.
Yeah. No, it's great.
The ending turns into this combination of giallo and Frank Hickenlooper, fucking crazy movie from the 80s, like creature feature from the 80s, and it's bizarre.
It's fantastic.
But it's not, because it's also 2.5 hours long, and it doesn't need to be that long.
Well, we've discussed that all movies are too long.
Yes,
every movie's too long.
Okay,
except for Tolkien movies, those can be as long as they want.
They can be as long as they want. we make the allowance on that one.
Yes, it's the what I mean. That's the phrase, though, right? The exception that proves the rule.
Yes, the exception that proves the rule. So anyway, let's get back where we were talking. So they're going to be doing now. Steamforge is going to be doing Elden Ring.
Yes,
and I'm interested in seeing, is this a reskin of their Dark Souls engine? Because if it is, totally on point. But if it's not, it could be very, very interesting.
I mean, this could be great, because there were some things that the Dark Souls engine did great, which was the enemy AI was fantastic. Like fighting the bosses was awesome. Like,
okay.
It was like very, very cool. The problem was, again, it goes back to the gear, where like if you didn't get lucky with gear, you were too weak to beat the bosses. But the way the bosses worked was great, because like the boss had a deck, they had an AI deck, but it was limited. So like you would eventually learn how many attacks they had. So like this boss has 2 attacks that hit the front half of its base, like its arc, because they had very specific like indicators of where the boss is going to attack. So it's like the boss hits this arc, and there's 2 attacks in its deck, and it has 10. So that like if it's flipped up the 2 front arc attacks, that's safe from the front arc, so you can move there and you can start chopping at it, knowing that attack's not going to come until the deck shuffles again. So the combat was very cool. Like the boss fights, very good. That was definitely the highlight of that game. So if they use that for the Elden Ring game, at least that part will be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, you could look it up. They have a development diary on Steamforge's webpage. They talk about all of the stuff that they've been doing. One of the things that they did talk about was the combat is going to be different than Dark Souls. However, from what they have like a stance board. I don't know if Dark Souls had that, where it's like you can put out your characters in defensive stance.
Okay, no, that's totally new. I'm looking at this now. The battle stance system. This is completely unique.
Yeah, so I mean, it seems interesting. I'm not.
Actually, it looks pretty awesome. I really like that. Like I'm looking at the battle stance thing out. They have you have like stance books. So you push the grids together to create like a bigger battlefield. That's really cool. Okay, yeah, I mean, obviously the figures look fantastic.
Yeah, kind of. They look like that European dark fantasy. That's what
they look like. They look like they're supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, I can't.
They look like they're right out of the video game. So they look fantastic. Unless you don't like the aesthetic, I guess. But like in terms of like what are they supposed to look like? Yes, correct. They are correct.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess one of the big things that they're pushing is it's diceless combat. So I don't know what that means. I'm as a person who plays minis games who likes combat with dice. I go, ooh, no dice.
I wonder if they're going to use cards.
I'm wondering if they're using cards too. That's what it kind of looks like. So, but anyway,
I think that's what the Bloodborne game did. I think like you get you make a deck and then you draw cards and like that's how you pick your attacks. I think that's how it works. So like there's it's semi-random still, but not as random as dice.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I'm not initially saying it's going to be bad, but it could be it could be very good. And if the price is as similar as it's been to like their other games, it'll be a steal, at least in terms of components and what you get.
Yeah, I might actually, I'm going to seriously take a look at this one.
Yeah, I can't say whether or not it's going to be good. Like, let's just put it that way. But as I say, Steamforge has a good pedigree, and I really, I can't say that. I can't. Their games won't be good. So
yeah. Well, the other thing another important factor that everyone should know too is like if you kickstart a Steamforge game, you're gonna get it.
Yeah,
it's gonna come to you. Like you'll have it. And then the other thing that is good is like I said, I didn't like the Dark Souls game. I thought it sucked, but like it's not like it's like, oh, this game's shit and everyone's blowing it out. Like it's still worth money. So if you kickstarted it and you didn't like it, you can sell it for plenty of cash back. Like you'll probably make more than you spent on it back.
Yeah. And also speaking of, I did see that shipping costs have now returned to pre-pandemic prices.
In some cases, yeah. A lot of the containers are reduced. Things are looking better.
Yeah. So I mean, so hopefully that should help with games like Elden Ring when it comes out. Is the Kickstarter is that your shipping prices are not going to be as high as they were for like that Dune game that we saw that had the most ridiculous prices I've ever seen.
That was insane.
All right, so you wanted to talk about, speaking of Kickstarters, you wanted to talk about the Golden
Bell.
Golden Bell. Yeah,
so Golden Bell is something we've never talked about it, I guess. Like
no, we never did.
Yeah, I can't remember ever talking about it, but the Golden Bell, their shenanigans started in 2017 with a game called Unbroken. It was funded. It was a huge success. They apparently never finished shipping it. They claimed that this is the best part too, is that they claimed that the shipping was complete in 2021 for a game that was funded in 2017, and apparently it's not even claimed. Then shipping in Canada says it's in progress, and then elsewhere is don't know. So that was their first one.
I know that they did get banned from Kickstarter. So
They did. Their next game was The Killing Field, which was funded in 2019. The current status is not going to fulfill. Movie Buff, funded in December 2016. The last update was in 2019. They said it was sent to printers. Yeah, okay. Gamboni, funded in 2017. Said it was going to be delivered in November 27. The current status is that games are being distributed in 2021, last update. But nope. Sorry, it's just nearing production. So again, not actually happening. Westbrook, Outlast, another game funded in 2017. Sorry, status is dead. They've stated the game cannot and will not be made as the funding goal they set was too low, but they're keeping the money. Napoleon 1807, funded in 2019. Project delivery date, October 2019. Cool. Oh, the backer kit went live on July 2019. And all of the shipping was like quadruple what they said estimated for shipping on it. So apparently this one did come out. They just charged like 4 to 5 times the shipping that they said they were going to charge people, which is hilarious because that game was funded in 2019 and then the back kit went live in 2019. So that was just a scam.
Yeah.
So we've got Peasant Buffet, funded in 2018. The Status. Currently the campaign had a. Let's see. The game was originally supposed to have shipping, an update in 2019. So the game is out, but there was supposedly a component of the game that was supposed to come with a plush, which is like a game component. But they ended up saying, after the fact, actually the game's not going to contain the plush that you need to play the game. So you need to pay shipping on this plush to get it as a separate thing. So so they did that, which is outrageous. Then we got Dungeon Dice, The Lost King, funded in 2017. In June 2019, they said the packages should be expected within a week or two. As of July 2019, no one has received any packages.
I mean, it just sounds like at this point, why would you even back this company?
Well, here's the thing. So this company plays a shell game too. They changed their name, and the dude who runs it, I mean, I'm not going to go through all, this is actually too long. There's a total of 25 listings. I only got through what I just did. I got through 9. Oh, no, 8. I just said 8, but there are 25. And they're all the same. They're all the same story. But so what this dude did is this gold guy or Bell, whatever his name is. So his scheme is he does this to he gets money from creators, he gets rights from creators. And the reason I thought I was turned on by this recently is because the guy who makes the Oh No comics, I don't know if you've ever seen them on Twitter, but they're there's a purple blob and a pink blob. They're like, today I will not be sad. And then the next comic is them being sad. And they're like, oh no, they're much funnier than that. But this guy entered a deal with them, and they basically swindled him for rights to his comic with this Kickstarter. So he's suing them. And it's a huge thing. I couldn't even believe it. There's a people that have gotten scammed by Golden Bell Studios group that has nearly 600,000 followers.
That's really funny because I'm looking at them on different sites like Amazon and other things. Amazon, Target. They have games that you're physically able to buy.
Mm-hmm. But some of the games came out, and that's the thing. Some of the games came out and then came to distribution, but not to Kickstarter.
And that's what I'm saying. The funny thing looks like is that what they do is they take all their money from Kickstarter, refuse to fulfill the Kickstarter pledges, and just use that money to put their games out regardless.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they basically they steal money, they keep the money, and then they send the games to distribution.
Yeah.
Which is wild. And a very amusing anecdote is the guy who owns Golden Bell was Mark Goldner. That's his name. He was on and lost on dun 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 the People's Fucking Court.
Nice.
I just sent you the link. You can post it with the update. Oh, that link's not going to work. I'll send you a better link later.
Well, the funny thing about People's Court is that People's Court, even if you lose on the People's Court pays your losses.
No, really?
Yeah. So if me and you went to the People's Court and I said, Steve would steal my money and he stole my $20 that I paid, that he was supposed to pay me to paint up his Slan Mage Priest. And he would be like, Your Honor, I painted that Slan Mage Priest. He said it was not up to museum quality. And I said, the original agreement was to museum quality. And Judge Wapner was, or who's on the People's Court now? Who was it? I don't know. Judge Judy. Judge Judy says, don't piss on me and call it sunshine. This is not museum quality painting. Steve, I rule in favor of Joe. So, Steve, you got to pay Joe $20. You don't actually pay me the $20. The People's Court pays me $20.
I see. Dun, 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 dun.
Plus, you get $100 just for showing up.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess. So
this isn't museum quality. This is I don't know, what a roadside attraction quality.
This looks like a wooden Indian quality. The
cigar store Indian quality.
Cigar store Indian quality. So yes, that's it's just stay away from the fuckers. You know,
well, I mean, you don't need to worry about it now because they're sued, but you need to be very careful that no one related to Golden Bell is related to any of your project because they are trying to hide their involvement in projects. So
speaking of, you want to know what I got an email about recently?
I'm ready. What did you get an email about?
I got an email about Super Dungeon Explorer.
I saw that.
Yeah, they get from 2018. You know how it was supposed to be delivered back in 2016, and you know I've basically written off that money at this point.
Yeah, that was Forgotten King, right?
No, it was Legends. Forgotten King delivered.
Okay.
So Super Dungeon Explorer Legends, it was kind of like their second edition of the game. It's still like they still want to ship it out to people. They still are like, yeah, like we're ready to do it. Which I find
that's great.
I mean, I find that fascinating. I mean, if they do it, they do it. I'm probably not going to be like super excited when I get it at this point, but
sure.
Hey,
I mean, but that would, I mean, for Ninja Division to actually do that, because I mean, at this point, if they wanted to, they could just be like, like, I mean, at this point, it's been so long. Like you said, I mean, what did you say? It was 2018?
It's 2016.
2016.
It's been 6 years.
Yeah, it's been 6 years. So at this point, they could easily just be like, yeah, our bad. And then like, never mention it again and just continue to go. Because I mean, they're still operating. They're still making figures and they're still selling stuff. So they could easily just be like, fuck you. We're not going to do this. But the fact that they're actually going to do it and fulfill it, even though it's, obviously it's much later, it's still, I think it's still a little, it's admirable. It's admirable that they're doing it. Because like I said, they could willingly just like, wash their hands of it. But the fact that they're going to fulfill it still, I think that's great.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I hope at some point, I hope it's like 2026. So it'll be a full 10 years after the pledge. That's what I'm hoping
there
for.
We go. You get a what is it? Is there a word for a 10-year anniversary?
No.
No? Okay, very good.
Probably like a decaversary.
I was thinking, because the only guy, I immediately thought of centennial. That's the only thing I thought of, and I was just like,
dectennial.
A dectennial? Is there a dectennial? I don't know, maybe.
Probably. I don't know. A decennial, something like that. I don't know.
Decennial. It's a decennial.
Okay, well, that was close.
Yeah.
I know my Greek roots. Anyway, I found that interesting. But we're running out of time. We gotta close it up. Do we have any other important gaming news that we needed to talk about?
No, I mean, and the listeners are going to be pissed because we talked about games a lot.
We did talk about a lot of games. We talked about what's the stupid game? It's the stupid movie, Malignant. We talked about
Malignant. Yes, we did.
Yeah, it's a stupid movie. What's that stupid movie?
What's that stupid fucking movie? Malignant.
Malignant. I was laughing actually because I only subscribe to like 5 YouTube channels. I know I'm an elder millennial, so YouTube. I'm like, why would I subscribe to a YouTube channel? But I do subscribe to a couple, and one of them is Red Letter Media, which I really enjoy. And they did Garbage Pail Kids, the movie, a review of Garbage Pail Kids, the movie. And I was laughing at it. Because I'm like, my God, I remember seeing this movie in the theater. And apparently it only had a limited theater release. So props to my parents for taking me to go see the Garbage Pail Kid movie.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't learn that. I loved the Garbage Pail Kids cards as a kid. Like, I was obsessed with the Garbage Pail Kids cards and stickers. Like, absolutely. I didn't know there was a Garbage Pail Kids movie until I was, well over an adult.
Oh yeah, no, I saw it in the theaters back in '87. I was like 6 at the time. One last thing before we do before we do the finales, though, I wanted to talk about our friends from Dragon Forge Miniatures or Titan Forge Miniatures.
Titan Forge. Yeah.
Their sci-fi Kickstarter, their sci-fi Patreon, Cyberforge this month did a whole thing of Star Trek crew, and they are pretty fantastic. If you go take a look at them. So
I gotta look at it now.
Yeah, they did. There's some humans, but there's a lot of aliens, which is really fun to look at because
hell yeah,
you don't normally see that. And I've never seen really well done Star Trek crew for 3D printing, so I'm super impressed by that.
Sweet.
So go to the Game Classy Facebook page. It's the worst way that you could get into contact with us. Now they made it so you have to switch over accounts when you want to look at something. Oh, it's such a pain in the ass.
It's really hard. It's like they made it actually it's just difficult to interact like the way you want to.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, whatever. Fucking Meta just lost like $1 bajillion fucking dollars because Zuckerberg's a fucking moron. So I mean,
We're moving back to MySpace. That's what we're saying.
No, we're going to Tumblr, baby.
Oh, Tumblr. Oh, that's because they allow nudity again.
Yeah, and you can pay $8 and get 2 blue check marks.
What?
Yeah.
Anyway, you could like, comment, and subscribe on iTunes, and like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. It's the best way that you can help out this podcast, because we do put it up on the YouTubes for some odd reason.
People like it on YouTube, man.
I just hate doing it. It's a pain in the ass to do.
Yeah, I can see that.
I do it for our fans, though. I do it for the fans.
For
I
the
do
love.
it for you, Damien. I do.
I also really like that Titan Forge mini you shared. The what the hell was it? The horned rat.
Oh, wait.
Very, very cool.
I don't remember that one.
You sent me it. It looks like a mummy, but it's a rat, and it's got like the big rat horns. You just sent a picture of it to me.
Oh,
very
okay.
cool.
Maybe I did. Oh, yeah.
Vermin Lord. It was a Vermin Lord.
Vermin Lord. Yeah. I did send you the mummy one. The
Yes,
mummy on the that's them,
that
though.
too.
That's Lost Kingdom.
Yeah, Lost Kingdom. They do a lot of those
The mummies.
the mummies.
All right. So, and if you want to follow Steve, you can follow him on Twitter. He's verified at @command_throw.
Yeah. Well, for now, we'll see. We'll see if Twitter still exists by the time this podcast airs.
And I'm on Instagram at GameClassyJoe. So, Steve, until next time.
Visit Titan Forge at Essenspiel 2022, which never mind, it already happened in October. So
I prefer Scheißenspiel.
Scheißenspiel. Oh no, that means poop.
That means the poo-poos.
You're talking about poo-poos. We made a poo-poo joke.
Do we have any German listeners?
Yeah, we absolutely do. Because shit, I forgot his name. Fuck. But yeah, he absolutely he's German. His name is like super German. It's like Hans Nupp or something. It's like, oh yeah, that is a German ass name.
Guten Tag, Hans.
Yeah, guten Tag. I was like your pretzels.
No sprechen Sie Deutsch. I don't know. I combine like Spanish and German there.
I don't sprechen Sie Deutsch.
Deutsch
Deutsch is hard. Although I do really appreciate their thing of like, we're not going to use multiple words. We're just going to make one word absolutely fucking gigantic.
I was actually just reading about one of those words that was the German word for having a fridge full of food and not wanting to eat any of it, even though you're hungry. And it was like das Prosperity eaten, something like, or starving.
That's
like
awesome.
Prosperity starving, something like, I don't remember what it is. That sounds more Scandinavian. Anywho, so Steve, until next time.
We love all of our international listeners. That is